So I had been in some ways restricting myself from doing certain things because of this invisible pathogen and virus that's spreading around the planet right now. I understand that the states in the United States were better because um, half of the population has been vaccinated, and the CDC has been ruling that if you're fully vaccinated, you can forego of the mask indoors and outdoors. And there are all kinds of political pro and con, and I don't want to get into the politics. But there has been a conditioning subconsciously in the group body and also influencing me unconsciously about what what my behavior should be going forward. So I still have my mask in hand. So if I'm walking outside and I'm in the park and everything else, no one is around me, I take the mask off to breathe some fresh air. But if people are getting close to me, I'm putting the mask back on. And I'm kind of cautious about it. Not so much, I'm not worried about somebody giving me something. I'm more worried about transmitting something to somebody else. And I'm putting this in context because I am in touch with two people that are in India right now that are dealing with the craziness that's happening in India at this moment. One of them, both of them were medically ill. One of them passed away from COVID. And so I'm dealing. I know there's a lot of deniers out there that are saying something else. I'm having a very different experience than many others, including when COVID was in New York area. I personally know 10 people, including my own cousin who was working in a nursing home, who died of COVID. So I'm having a very different experience to everyone who is saying that it's just the flu, okay? And I don't want to get into the politics of it. I'm just stating my reality and my facts. So my impression of what this invisible pathogen is that it's real and that it has consequential effect on your health and that you should take precautions, et cetera, which I have been taking. But it has infiltrated into my consciousness some other fears that I did not foresee nor intended for it to be there. So it's been three months now that I've been saying that I'm going to go upstate to the Gradual Retreat Center and spend time up there. And I have not gone. And every week it's another reason as to why I'm not going, okay? It's this reason, it's that reason. The week before that Memorial Day weekend, I'm not going because the whole forecast for the entire weekend was pouring rain and I'm not going. And I'm all that rational, reasonable. But there was another reason that I only realized, because this weekend I actually went, that I realized in going that was behind all of this. There was a fear, okay, that things had changed dramatically and things were not the same. And part of the fear as well is the fact that every week or every other week, actually every week, you're hearing about mass shooting events that are happening all over the country. 20 people, 14 people, and so on and so forth. And there is so many events like this that are occurring everywhere. And where the Guyaville Retreat Center is, it's a hunting community. Everybody is armed, everybody has a gun. And there is a concern on my part that as a Black man, alone, because I drive there alone, I am an easy target. And so what is interesting to me, and so this is part of the dynamic that I'm seeing if you remember from the channeling that I've been publishing since 2014, 2015, there's been a lot of information about all of the schism and separation and the riots and the fights and all that. So I'm witnessing the precipitate of that happening all over the country. 1 week is California, next week's in Jersey, the next thing, you know, there was a mass shooting event in Long Island, near where Marjorie worked, 10 minutes, 15 minutes from where she worked, and et cetera, et cetera. It's spreading. And I have said to you before in past classes that all of you should be through in the torsion field asking for protection when you step outside. And I've been doing it. But I didn't realize the degree to which there was a level of, and not anxiety, but it was an unknown fear that was still holding my consciousness. So there's a part of the drive where it's a kind of a back road. It's a shortcut to shave about 30 minutes out of the drive. Well, maybe 20 minutes. And I always take it because it takes me to the house faster. So I'm taking the shortcut, and out of nowhere, behind me, I'm looking at the rear view mirror. There is a black SUV with tinted windows. Even the front windows are tinted. You can see it's all black with no license plate that is tailgating me. I panicked because at that moment, the fear that was building up with all of these events began to make me feel insecure being alone on that drive and having this black SUV with no license plate after me. And in all likelihood, the man is just driving, the person in the car is just driving, but it triggered me, right? And so I started driving faster and faster, trying to create some distance between me and him. Because at some point, when the road ends, I have to veer to the right to go back to my house in a wider road. And this road is tiny, narrow. It's a bunch of farms. It's a back road. And I'm going faster and faster. And thank God I got to a point where there were people on the road that recognized me. I wave at them. They wave at me back. And there were a couple of construction. There was a construction site. I slowed down. They looked at me. I waved at them. They waved back. And I'm in my reason for doing this was to kind of throw back whoever is behind me trying to follow me off, to make them realize that they know me. And when I got to the corner to veer right, he veered left, and I continue on my way. And I realized that it's a 10-minute road. The drive is only 10 minutes long. I realized that this whole thing triggered a fear in me. And of course, I got to the house, everything was fine. I spent time there, and it was great to be back. It was great. Missed the house tremendously, the energy. But I spent most of the time cleaning, because that's what I do when I reopen the house again. I wipe every surface, I vacuum everything, I broom sweep everything and then vacuum. And I spent a lot of time doing that. And when I returned, before I get into the return, I should say that since the CDC announcement about 2 weeks ago, maybe it could be more than 2 weeks, that if you're fully vaccinated, you can forego the mask and indoor and outdoor, you're fine, except for institution like transportation system, et cetera, that requires the mask, you have to put it on. So long and short, I have been seeing people out on the street in droves like I have not seen before. New York City is not just back, it's overflowing with people. The path, the parks, the places where I used to hang out, where I found solace because there was isolation and there was no place you can go in any park right now, particularly on weekends, even on weekdays. Now I have resorted to going on weekdays early in the morning at 9 o'clock, because that's the one time where I will find isolation. Otherwise, everything is packed. And it's not just packed, it also has in it people who seem to be, what's the word, trying to jump headfirst into life. And a lot of the youth are out there in groups, in droves. They're enjoying each other's company. There's a lot of screaming and a lot of play, a lot of exuberance. And it's really beautiful to see on the one hand, but on the other hand, I also mistrust it because I am hearing from my two compadres that are in India, well now one because the other one died, that are isolated with these multiple double mutations that are spreading to the country and killing people by 4,000 per day. And I'm also hearing, for example, for people from Colombia, they are having similar experiences. Haiti, there was an explosion right now of COVID, and many other places where it's like, it's really, and so I don't know what to believe to be true. I don't know if what I am seeing, I do like the fact that people are trying to enjoy life. Having been on lockdown for too long and sequestered, to be able to go back out again and hang out with people and friends and get a hug, all of which I want as well, right? And so I am realizing, and here is the danger though. There is a lot of anti-vax people and people who don't believe in masks who are taking this opportunity to forego of the mask and who could be transmitting viruses to people as part of the group who are claiming that they are, because it's an honor system, claiming that they are fully vaccinated. No one is requiring you to show a vaccination card. So that's the part that I personally don't trust, because I know enough of anti-vax and anti-mask people, particularly in the light community, who thinks that whatever herbs and plants that they are taking, it's not a judgment, but I'm stating facts of what my experience is. And therefore, that's the reason why I'm still having a mask in hand. In case somebody comes in, I put it on just in case, right? So what I also noticed is that a lot of the youth who had been held and bound in isolation for too long are coming out with this surge of sexual energy. They are dressed in ways that are like, and they are hunting like predators, like lions that are looking at young gazelle on the prairie. They are salivating. Both men and women, they are dressed in outfits, and I can't judge them, because there was a time years ago where I wore worse, way worse, when I had hair and I thought I was somebody. Okay, I can't judge them. I remember the day that I had the lucidity to realize that those short cut-off jeans that I was wearing was too much. No one could tell me otherwise. I thought I was the thing. When people were staring at me, I thought it's because I was it. I was the it thing. And it was the time, I remember very clearly when, in hindsight, you're 2020. And it's a good thing there were no smartphone and there were no videos that capture. And this is what I'm saying to the youth today. Be careful what you do and what kind of digital footprint you leave behind, because when it goes on the internet, it lives at perpetuity. And I remember wearing this outfit, and I walked to the corner of my building, and I was gonna go, I forgot where I was going. And I turned the corner, and there was a black couple as I crossed the street that was coming the other way. And the woman looked at me and went, "Oh my God," but you should have seen the disgust in her face. And at that moment, that was exactly what I needed. It was like a snap. And I remember I literally, I'm on 25th, I walk on 7th Avenue, I went to 24, I went around the corner, I came back into my house, and all the jeans that I had several of them that were cut off like that, I took all of them and I put them in the incinerator. I dropped them down the garbage chute. And I thought to myself, never again. Because that one look said it all. That's all she needed to do. And that was the universe teaching me, giving me a mirror back and saying to me, you look like a prostitute, okay? You look like you're selling. So stop it, right? So I'm seeing situation like this. I'm seeing youth that are dressed in ways that are like, overly sexual. Like the store is open, please shop, come in and buy something. And there is a point that I'm trying to lead into. And I'm going to get to it in a moment by telling you the story. So on the drive back going from upstate to the George Washington Bridge, the timing was perfect. But from the George Washington Bridge getting to my sister's house, it took another 2.5 hours. The traffic was horrendous. I mean, horrendous. Because, again, everyone is out. Everyone is out. It's warm, it's hot. Everyone is driving. Everyone is in the street. It was jam-packed with traffic. I made it safely. I'm very grateful for that. And I didn't stay for too long at my sister's. And I basically started heading back out to get back, because at that point I parked the car in Brooklyn because parking in Manhattan is a full-time job. And you can't find parking half the time. You have to spend 2 hours spinning around. So I parked in my sister's neighborhood. So parked the car and took my bags and jumped in the train. So I get in the train only to find out, because of track work, rerouting. The A train, literally the ride from my sister's house to my house, including the 7 or 8 block walk to get to the train station, it's 45 minutes. The ride itself is 35 minutes, including the waiting on the platform. It's 35 minutes because it's an express A train that goes right to 14th Street. I changed from the local one stop to 14th Street, and literally it's on my street half a block. So I get in the train, and I'm being told that the train is going to Utica, and after that I have to take a bus to transfer to a whole bunch of detour. And somebody suggested in the train that I get off at another station, change for the L train to 14th Street, and then from there at 14th Street, take the local again back to my station. I'm like, okay, that sounds like a more reasonable thing, because I don't want to go outside to get a bus transfer and all that and go back in. So I take the L train. When I get the L, it's the last stop on the L train. So as I got there, I sat in, and across from me is a tableau of incredible proportion. Now, I am already in the analysis fear experience, meaning that I am already triggered by the fact that I'm going outside of my comfort zone quite a bit. Okay, the fact that I went upstate, as I said, for 3 months I didn't go because every weekend I'm making another excuse as to why I'm not going. And what actually occurred with the tableau that was in front of me was, the first thing that I saw was a man, older Hispanic man, that was sitting around looking at 2 Hispanic women that were trying to look at the signs for what station they're supposed to get off at. They were wearing leggings. And this man looked like he was a sexual predator because he was touching himself, looking at them. They're sitting right across from me in plain view. Anybody can see him, right? The door is still open. Then comes in 3 people. One black young girl comes in. She's way too big to be wearing a crop top. Not only her boobs are hanging out, she has too much loose belly. The whole thing is jiggling, and she's wearing one of those hoochie pants that I used to wear, okay? And at least I was thinner, I have to say this, but she's jiggling over, she's slightly overweight, well, more than slightly overweight. Another very thin girl is with her. She's wearing, by the way, a fuchsia wig with a part in the middle that's kind of like bob cut. Beautiful face, by the way, very beautiful face. And next to her is another one with long braid all the way down to her knee. And the 2 of them are talking about going to a party. They're there with this black guy who's wearing pants that are so low, his underwear is all the way showing up. Again, shirt is too tight, belly is jiggling, and they're all talking amongst themselves. At every stop on this train, another atypical experience walks in. To stop in, walks in a person, and I don't know what gender, I'm gonna call it, okay? Because you couldn't determine if it was male or female. The body or some of the muscle looked masculine, but there were pink nails that were out to here. He was wearing a turban with a knot in the middle and top of his head, and it had one of those white big earphones. So the contrast between the black in the center, and they were the same size, this knot on either side like a Princess Leia. And there was a muumuu that was a flower, multicolored. There was a sweater that looked like something from Woodstock that was acid wash or painted psychedelic stuff that was wrapped around the waist. Black legging and boots or sneakers that were one red, the other one yellow. And there was a gigantic strap bag that was across shoulder and arm, gigantic, that a canvas bag that says black with New York and bright yellow all over it. Wearing a mask that has a painted red lipstick on top of it, smiling. Tattoos all over, nail out to here. You couldn't determine what it was. And as I sat there, I began to realize what opportunity lied for me in this situation that I was in. Because every other stop, there was another unusual New Yorker that came in, more exaggerated, over the top than the other. And I realized as I sat there looking, I was judging. I was judging every one of them. I was assessing them. I was judging them. I was trying to figure out what is this one wearing? The it person with all of the different colors, too many colors, too many patterns. She needs an editor. She needs somebody to tell it to match it better. No, too many. And as I sat there, I remembered suddenly, I don't know, 4 to 5 stops in, I realized that I was judging. And that this judgment, it's funny how it happened. So it started with me experiencing fears for this trip going upstate, and for me going out of my comfort zone and facing those fears. And then it ended up me finding a way to connect to an aspect of justice as a higher emotion. Because in the list of higher emotion, justice is one of them. Justice as in a judgment. And that judgment is sometimes the way the universe tries to teach you or mirror back to you a higher emotion, it shows you the lack of the higher emotion, of the positive aspect of the higher emotion that you have. And this entire tableau for the whole ride in the L train was created, as far as I'm concerned, for my benefit. For me to get in touch with how judgmental that I was for that trip. Because I was cranky, because the ride took instead of 45 minutes, it was an hour and a half. Almost double the time, and I was cranky, and all of these other things that happened before the long ride coming back upstate. Because really, from the George Washington Bridge to Marjorie's house, if there's no traffic, that's an hour. It's not a 2.5-hour drive. And because of this, I got very, very cranky, very tired and very cranky, and I begin to fall to the lowest common denominator in my character, which is to begin to judge and begin to, and there's different way of looking at it. You can judge somebody by being kind, compassionate, and understanding, and having mercy in your heart. But you can judge somebody by being cold, detached, and even mean. And that's the frame of mind that I found myself for the first half of the trip to be in. And I'm saying this to you because I want you to understand that the universe is constantly orchestrating a mirror for us to be able to learn. This is why I'm saying the cultivation of the virtue is a contemplation, and it bleeds into your life if you choose to analyze it, to see it, if you step up to the learning opportunity and the learning module that each experience is presenting for you. And for me, it was a huge learning module. That ride, I've never ride that train, ever. Well, maybe once or twice before. I ride it in Manhattan from 14th Street from one side, from the west side, from the west side to the east side, but not all the way at the last stop in Brooklyn. I think I may have done that once before. So it was an incredible learning experience for me about how there's a part of me that can be so cold, so judgmental, and so narrow-minded and so restricted. It didn't matter what that being that showed up, what gender that being was, because it had boob, it looked masculine in some places, it had all of these things that were so out of place that I was trying to analyze and judge and form an opinion, trying to put it into the box, when in fact, it's gender non-conforming. And I should actually see this being as a God walking among us. Who cares? As a human being, why am I analyzing it and trying to put it into a box? I was trying to put everyone into a box, and it's not after again these young girls that were there dressed with the tight outfit and the what I call the pum pum shorts, the jeans that are cut off so high that the pockets are sticking out. I wore those. So who am I to judge them now? I was there when I was their age. I was wearing them. So I have to realize that, and there was a moment of kind of lucidity. Have I become so old that I'm now the people who are sitting in their porch judging people? Or am I going to elevate and accept people wherever they are in their journey and realize that they are all traveling and they're fellow travelers, and they will find their path in their own time into the light? Any questions or any comments? For those of you who are in New York, I don't know what your experience have been, but I'm seeing again, and I know even those of you who are not in New York or in the States, you know about the mass shooting. You know about there is a trigger in me anyway of fear. But every time I step out, I may step into a situation that is dangerous and unforeseen for me. And there is a kind of like invisible restraint that this is creating in me that I have to acknowledge exists, because denying it is foolish. And as I said, I always, when I go into my car, I do the torsion field first before I move out, asking for protection, for safe journey and safe travel, and I arrive safely, et cetera, et cetera. But nonetheless, that fear is still there, because these events, I don't watch them anymore because there are too many of them. But you do hear, there was a mass shooting, blah, blah, blah. There was a, you do hear all of this.
Pierre?
Yes.
I noticed also, I was away from New York for a while.
Yep.
And I just recently, then when I came back from Colorado, I was mostly home. And then now as I'm taking the subway again, there's so many homeless people that are aggressive now.
Yep.
You didn't have that before.
Right.
There were years, I remember 2 years ago, there were so many homeless people, especially like Times Square in the winter.
Yep.
Nobody was aggressive.
Yep.
And now I'm getting concerned. I'm like, whichever train I take,
Yep.
there is somebody screaming, yelling.
Yep.
So I guess for whatever it's some sort of shift that impacts people on the aggressive side, and maybe they are more vulnerable being homeless.
Yep.
But like, if I was never afraid, I'm concerned now.
Yep.
And I'm even like debating, taking a bus or other forms of transportation, because it's hard, when you're in the middle of the subway car and somebody is going crazy and train is running. Yep. Where are you gonna go, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
At least if you're on the bus, the bus can stop, and the bus operator can get help or something.
Yep.
So it's completely unusual.
To your point, Ursula, it was about 2 weeks ago when the train, because the train had stopped during COVID, operating 24 hours. And they were about to reopen the service 24 hours. And I got in the train to go to Brooklyn to see my mom. And in the train, this woman from MTA came in and made this announcement. She was not over the loudspeaker. She went from train to train to make it personal announcement that she works for the MTA and they're going to open the train for 24 hours. And that they are very aware that there's been a lot of homeless people with mental health issues. And that they have extra cameras everywhere in all the train platforms and all the everywhere. And the buses also have cameras in them. And that they also have extra police that they have hired to monitor the trains, particularly in the late evenings, to kind of police the danger that passenger may have when they are riding the train because of the situation. And I have to say to you, in addition to everything else that I'm pointing out to, it doesn't happen every day, but at least once a week. I would go out in my neighborhood in Chelsea and walk around, that I would see an homeless person screaming and raging in fury, that I know if they had a gun, they would start shooting. And I have to cross the street away from them. Plus, I don't want to get in proximity of this kind of spewing of rage and venom. So to your point, Ursula, I agree.
And one more thing, I just remember, I was on a platform by me in Astoria, and it's an outdoor platform.
Yes.
And it's a very safe neighborhood. It wasn't my stop, but it was like the two stops down. And there were people, mostly people who looked very, they looked like they were dressed for work.
Mhm.
So they were very like well dressed and calm looking people. And there is a woman next to me.
Mhm.
She was wearing dark glasses. So I'm not sure. She has, her skin tone had a little dark, so she wasn't white. She had glasses. I couldn't tell if she was Asian or maybe Hispanic. Uh, but then there was an older looking black woman walked up the stairs, and she was nice dressed. She was dressed nicely. She had a like t-shirt, but like a elegant t-shirt, some kind of khakis or something. And she started talking to her. Her mask was kind of down on her chin, but she did have a mask. And she started talking to her, and I just saw for a moment. I didn't do any much of it. After the woman said, she told everyone around her that she was stalking her. She didn't know her. She didn't know why she was talking to her. And the comments she was making, didn't make sense for her. And luckily she walked away, but she told everybody around us if she comes back to look out for that.
Mhm.
So it's almost like people just are plain overacting, and they don't have to be homeless person. It's really been very intense.
It's not, I don't think it's just homelessness. I
Yeah,
think, I think it's related to the fact that the existing paradigm is collapsing.
right,
And people who, because attack is a loss of control
right,
and an attempt of trying to gain it back. These people are attacking because they lost control over their life. They lost control over how, in whatever in their reality was the organizing paradigm. That is broken and shattered into pieces, and they don't know what to do with themselves. Okay? And they are lost, and they're in chaos, and they are enraged. And if you have guns and you're armed, then you find an enemy and you say it's because it's the black, it's the Hispanic, it's the Asian, it's the whatever, the Arab, and you start shooting. You start going crazy.
right. Right. So to your point, I mean, I've noticed things that I've never been concerned before all these years.
Yeah.
Late at night, it didn't matter, and now I'm really like, okay, this is something different in the air for sure.
Yeah.
And to your point, some sort of torsion field or something extra protection. It's really, it's almost like it's a must.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, it wasn't just although I did do the torsion field before my ride, I had that experience, and that experience almost was like a PTSD thing for me. It triggered something. The person I was in the car just probably bought the car and was just riding to go home, but I interpreted it completely differently
Right.
in my own, and you can just imagine that somebody who is mentally unhinged having an experience similar to this would have turned around, stopped the car if I had a gun, and start shooting at the car.
Right. Right. So to your point also, yeah, that's like, don't just ignore your fears, but maybe look what's behind that fear as
That's
well.
right. That's right. That's exactly right. And so I knew I was being triggered. It was like a PTSD moment for me. And I'm like, okay, I'm being triggered right now. And I need to get off this road. And I did this little gestures here and there to these people who waved back at me. And then I began to feel calmer. And then sure enough, when he got to the corner, he passed me and veered to the left, and I veered right. He was not after me. This is the way the fragility of my consciousness, giving all these events that have occurred. This is where my consciousness was.
Right, right,
I
right.
felt
Okay.
vulnerable and afraid.
And there is wisdom always behind the fear, so we need to remember that.
Yeah, and that fear continued on my ride back with all of the delays and everything else, and transformed and brought me this incredible opportunity to realize I am highly judgmental, particularly when I'm cranky. I can be more accepting, more loving, and all that. I was, you know, for the first 5 or 6 stops on the L train, I was judging everybody. And I realized after a moment, I'm like, okay, the universe is creating this moment for me. This is not, no one else is having the experience I'm having right now. And I realized this is a mirror to reflect to me the judgments that I have in me. Yeah.
Right.
Any questions, any comments?
I have one comment. I really think that there was a whole picture about that car that play into the fear, and the picture is the fact that the car was SUV, tinted window, no plate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Granted that even if there weren't all that chaos that's going on right now, if I'm driving and I see something like this on a road like this, I will question it. The fear may not be as high as it is because of what's going on around us, but this is something that you would question. What is that strange car that's tailgating me? There's no plate. There's no. It may not have been a fear that is as increased as it was because of everything that's going on, but the fear would have been, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
in a normal situation, quote unquote. I would have that fear. I would have said, oh, what is this car behind me? There's no plate, there's nothing, everything is tinted. What is this?
Marjorie,
You know?
I suspect in hindsight, you are 2020. In hindsight, I suspect because the car was brand new. Okay. I suspect it's a car. You know, when your car is new, you don't have a license plate yet. They give you a temporary license. I suspect.
Well, that's the same thing. That's the same thing that happened to that soldier.
Yes, that was returned from.
There was a soldier
Yeah.
that just purchased a car, and then the police officers thought that it was a car without a plate. There's a black guy driving it, you know,
and
everything. And then the threat, it was a threat.
Yeah, yes.
And they follow him, you know what I'm saying? So
I understand that, but in hindsight now I'm thinking about it, it probably was something similar to this because the car was brand new. And, but it was very menacing, and I would never buy a car. Maybe the side and the back might be tinted, but the front window was also tinted. You can't see nothing.
Wow.
It look literally jet black, the whole thing, and it's very scary for a person in front of it or behind it.
But it's also against the law to have tinted glasses like that.
Possible
in a car.
I don't know what the deal
is.
I don't know what the deal is, but all I know is that it was completely tinted, and the whole thing looked, you know, like a monolithic black thing that was like behind me with no. But it was not following me. It passed me and veered to the left. But the way my consciousness interpreted it, because again, you can just imagine the people who are the homeless people or the people who are mentally fragile, how they can interpret that somebody's after them or somebody's trying to do something to them when you're constantly scanning now for danger. The bottom line is that because of everything that's going on, there's a part of us that has to always be scanning for danger. And that scanning for danger can veer into judgment and can veer into anything. Because that scanning it for danger is also analyzing every event, every situation to try to find right and wrong. How am I supposed to behave? Should I get out? Should I not get out? And that to me was the culmination of it, was the experience I had in the train.
Yeah, this is also the human part of us. There's also a spiritual aspect in this, because of the fact that before you leave home, we leave home, you're doing the torsion field. You know what the torsion field represents. You know that the torsion field is something that is creating a band of non-interference going on. So we should have that certainty that nothing is able to touch us. No matter what the situation look on the outside, nothing is able to touch us. And this is that faith. It's a fine line of a balance, because we're human, but it's also a question of faith and that certainty. You know what I mean?
Yes, I agree
Yeah.
with you. I agree with you. But there is also a part that sometimes the certainty tells you move away.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Don't go there. And you have to learn how to differentiate between that and the fear that comes from being human. Are you reacting because you're listening to your certainty and you're obeying, or are you reacting because you are?
There's so many fear out there.
Exactly. That's the line that we have to find. That's the full line you have to find.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Ideally, this is the way it should be. Totally. You're in certainty and you know that nothing is going to happen. I totally agree. But I want you to understand that if we're all human living in a survival planet.
Exactly.
And the fact that we're all scanning and analyzing and everything else, like every day not every week, when I see these experiences of people screaming and yelling, cursing, this vile language, this yell, this guttural yell that are screaming out. Sometimes they might be on the phone. Sometimes they're talking to invisible people that are not even there. And when I see this, I'm like, I gotta walk away from this energy. I have to cross the street and go across the street. I don't need to walk in proximity of that or whatever that is. This person is in their own bubble having experience. And out of wisdom, I need to understand when somebody is not, we are not a match. I need to find frequency that are matching me. Any other questions or comments? Wow, everyone is very quiet today. All right.
Well, Pierre, I was listening, and I really, there's so many things going through my mind as I'm listening. I just said that, it was only 1 year ago that all of these things happened with George Floyd, and then to see that was last June, and then this June, 1 year later, they had actually prosecuted this case and come to a conclusion that this man acted, with he's guilty of what he did. wanton behavior, really. And men, I like I said, men of color have a totally different set of things happening as they are walking and operating in this world than women of color and other ethnicities. And so, in order for you to stay sane, you have to be on such a balancing act all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost, and like all of these judgments come and go within split seconds. You know, that you making decisions as to what you should do. Should I flee? Should I, stay? Should I come? Should I go? And as you were saying, Margie, that those kind of tinting is illegal, and so that person at some point will be stopped and told that they'll have to get that stuff off the front of their windows, and they cannot have it. But then again, it's still it's a trigger as long as the person is moving through wherever they're going, because upstate is no different from any place else. These little areas are microcosms as to what's happening, in the world at large. And fear is a big factor all over this world. There's fear. And so as we are going through our daily life, we have to conquer so many things. I mean, to get to the end of the day, when you said thinking about going over your day and saying to yourself, what could I have done better, or what could I have done differently, or the next time I encounter this, and now you're saying, will you even live to the end of the day to be able to make that review, as a person of color and a man, just operating, in doing normal things like walking and talking, running in your neighborhood, because I have had, heard people tell stories about that. And then, like you say, people's mental states are questionable in lots of areas, and it's not confined just to subway, not confined to just walking around in the city or whatever. I went to a delicatessen, and this was right here in Paramus, because it's like a suburban community. This man came out of the deli behind me, and he was acting kind of funny inside the deli, so I wanted to get away from him a little bit. But when I went to get in my car, he came and he got in the car next to me. And I'm looking, I said, I don't want to really look at this man. I don't want to make eye contact with this person. I said, because he's not acting right. And he got in his car and he started talking. And, and I'm looking, I'm sitting on my side, on the driver's side, and he's on the right-hand side of my car. So that means at least there's the passenger seat, and then there's him. So I'm not like, right against his window. He started talking to himself. Then he started beating himself up inside the car. Mm. Now, I said, should I report this? Should I get out? What should I do? And so I sat there for a few seconds, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to drive away. I'm going to drive away. I am not going to say anything or do anything, because if you come and get in your own car, now I don't know what was his problem or why he was upset, but he was upset in the store, and then he was upset on the checkout line. He's acting funny, and then I was ahead of him. I think two people ahead of him. So I get to my car, which I feel like I'm safe. But when I get to my car, I didn't know where this man was parked. He comes and he gets in the car next to me, and he goes through all these things. And I said, well, you know what? If he's beating himself up, if he has any kind of weapon in there, he may decide to shoot himself or shoot, someone on either side of him or whatever. And I said, and I'm sitting here, and this is a neighborhood that's integrated, but I'm the only black person over there. And so I'm like, I don't know what he's upset about. So I just drove away. I said, I can't say I said a prayer for this man, because I'm like, this is crazy. I mean, who would think something like this could come up? and what was happening, in this man's life or in his head, or what did he see? Was he seeing? Was he having seizures? Was he seeing something? What was going on? What was this man's mental state? So we are operating in a world where you do not know the mental state of the person standing next to you. You do not know the mental state of the person serving you.
Yep.
You do not know the mental state of the person who's supposed to be coming to help you.
Yep.
You do not know. So we are walking by faith every single day because you have no idea of what's for you, what's behind you. So you have to trust in whatever the higher power that you understand. You have to walk in that trust, because that's what's getting you safely from point A to point B. And as things are happening, yes, you have to see yourself. When you were talking about the people on the subway, I said I could have been that lady in that red dress, and I just happened to be wearing a red dress today. I looked at myself and I started laughing. I said, no, anybody who had not heard the story and would look in my window and see me laughing uncontrollably, sitting in front of my computer, they could surmise that I've gone crazy.
Yeah.
And so I said, so even in your own environment, you still have to be aware of what's happening in and around you, because not only you have to explain your actions, but someone else who's looking at you who maybe should or should not be looking at you, they too have an opinion of what's happening. And so the point of all of it is that you see what is happening and you could get back to your own center, most of the time quicker. Each time that something comes up, you get back to that place, more quickly. And that then is the lesson for you. And this was the lesson for me. Okay, I could see myself in that person. I don't know what that person was going through or where they are in their journey. Okay, I'm praying for. That's why I used to love that Dr. Stone's, prayer for the world, because he included almost everything you could possibly think of. He hit it. He hit on something. So saying the prayer for the world at large, it has to make an impact, on the environments that we find ourselves, in every day. And to you can listen. I can listen and just be quiet. Just be quiet and see wherein there was a lesson for me that I might have missed, or an opportunity for me that I might have missed. I mean, what should I have done? Should I have tried to help? I don't think so. My first thought was, you better get to safety, because this man is, he's off his rocker. You don't see somebody beat their self up in a car.
I've seen it on the street. I've seen it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So you it's like we're swimming in a ocean, and suddenly the currents are changing, and things that used to be predictable are not predictable anymore. So till you find your line and stay with that current, or do we swim against it? So it's to know what to do in the moment that you're in, that you find yourself in.
That's right. And that's what we're all navigating. And that's the whole point of the class and the whole point of the story. Because to a degree or another, I know it's not unique to me. It's happening in your own corner of the world, even those who are not speaking. It's happening around you, because it's happening everywhere on the planet, right? And so I am thinking about the Tibetan Book of the Dead when they're asking for safe passage through the Bardo. And I'm thinking about in the dangerous path of the transition into the new earth. I'm praying for safe passage.
Right.
Give me safe passage so that I can land, I can find the path, the road to the new earth. Right. Because it's turbulent and it's dangerous. Because I could get lost, because the paranoia that this triggered for me when I was in the car could have, if I was, because it eroded at the stability of my own mental state. And for 10 minutes, I was in fear.
Right.
Yep.
and to have that something to hold on to while you're going through.
Yes. Yes.
That allowed you to hold on and hold it together until you.
And funny you should say that, Celidia, because that's exactly what brought me back to myself, was that I called upon the guardian alliance of light.
Yes.
I asked for the torsion field to come back and return to me to protect me.
Yes.
And the moment that happened, I began to come down.
Right. And that's the
Yes.
whole point. Have
And that's the key.
hope.
Yes.
Mhm.
And that's the key. And it's to find something divine that you are, because that's the only thing that could put us through what we're going through right now, what the earth is going through right now.
You know what?
Is to stay connected.
The lessons are so deep and so profound, because I remember in a passage in the Tibetan Book of the Dead reading that when you find yourself, particularly when you're dealing with what they call the wrathful deities, after the first 7 days, and you're dealing with these monsters that show up that are so big, they're making loud sound and thunderbolt and lightning and clapping, and they look like they're bloodthirsty, they're about to rip you apart. And I remember he keeps saying in the book, it keeps saying all the time, remember the teaching of your guru and teacher. Remember the prayers that you used to say. Repeat these prayers and ask for safe passage. For what you're seeing right now, what you're experiencing, is a creation of your mind, an externalization of your internal fears. And the moment you realize this, that externalization will dissipate and the monster will be gone, and there will be rose petal falling from the sky where the monster was before.
And this is exactly what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
What humanity is going through right now. Exactly.
It's to remember it in the moment. This is the part that's really tough.
Yeah.
Because when you're being triggered and you're like, what the hell, I wanted to go faster and faster. And then that road, you know the road, Celidia. It's
that road
up and down. You can't speed.
You could kill yourself on that road. I've been on that road. I used to live at the end of that road.
Yes.
I used to live right across the hill instead of going right and left and go.
I know where you used to live. Yes.
Down that hill.
Yes.
And I know that road. That's like the suicide road if you're going fast.
It's because you're gonna go in a ditch. You're gonna go in a ditch. It's very narrow.
Exactly.
Rolling hills, and it's up and down. And what I can say to you is that I couldn't speed, but for a good moment there, the panic flared up. And when I call upon the guardian, I begin to come down. And then this man just veer left. He was not after me. It was perceived. It was not real.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, this is real.
So that's the Lord.
Rubber meets the road. This is real.
Yeah.
And that's why I say when that song kept coming back to me at different parts of the journey, and to me it was like, God was saying to me, I'm your friend. I'm with you. But all that you were looking around for, it's right here. It's right here. Right here. In you. I got you. You are my friend. I got you. So you just
go on, Celine. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, City.
Well, what was coming up as I was listening to the many things around this and conversations and stories is the question of what is safety and where does it exist? Where does it look like? What does it feel like? What's the vibrational frequency? And is it inner? Is it outer? And what type of awareness is it inviting us, to look at in terms of a greater I guess, view a consciousness of safety within ourselves and our collective world?
Well, I would have to say it would be inner,
That is.
because you can't find it outside of yourself. There's no, even going back to the Bible. I wish my sister was here because she's a chapter text person all the time. She got if you say half a verse, she can give you the rest of it. And it says there's no hiding place down here. There's no hiding place. You can run to the rock and the rock won't hide. There's no hiding place down here. So where will you find this peace except from within? As you contact that divine within you, where will you find peace?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and there's something else. Again, reading back, thinking back over the text of the Bardo Total that I've read, it talks about the fact that the whole transition is filled with illusionary experiences that are going to seem real.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And if you're focusing on external experiences, you're going to go to the wrong place. This is why they said it's a dangerous path to travel the Bardo. And what can only save you, it's the prayer that you do every day on every experience. And if you're lost, think of your teachers and your teachers' teaching. And think of what you know as being holy and spiritual and repeat it over and over again, and that will guide you into the right decision, because sometimes the experience is counterintuitive. For example, when they talk about the monsters, the rightful deities, you see these beings with blood gushing down their teeth. They have fangs. They have multiple eyes. They're holding bodies that they're ripping apart. You think, oh my God, this is horrible. I got to get away from it. And there's a dim light that's in this corner, and it feels comfortable, and you want to run into the dim light. But the dim light is the wrong path. You have to face the demon. And you have to realize that the demon is not true. It's an illusion. And it's through the process of you facing it that you will find the liberation that you're seeking for. And the moment you face it and you realize it's a creation of my consciousness, I am the fear that I was experiencing for the 10 minutes, I was creating it. This person was not even interested in me. Okay? And therefore, I need to realize it's my creation, and I'm releasing that. And what the book says, which is fascinating, is this. The moment you realize it's a creation from your mind, the illusion will dissipate. It will pixelate and disappear completely. And in its place, there will be a Buddha that will invite you into their realm, where you can find enlightenment. So this is the trick, is to, even when the benevolent deities were coming up, you saw the light. The light you would see would be so bright and so brilliant that most people would be afraid to look at them. Yet you don't look at the dim light. You go toward the brilliant light that's scaring you. It's very counterintuitive. So I'm exploring. I'm just observing, and I'm still inviting you to a greater understanding of the psychological and emotional state you have to be in order for us to all individually and collectively find safe passage into the new earth. Now, what I wanted to do now is that I'm going to give us a 5-minute break. But before I do this, because I'm going to do an upgraded version of the monadic merger with Melchizedek initiation connected to it. I want to remind you as well that when we're doing this I will give you 5 to 10 minutes at the very end. Once we've done all of the position of the clock, you will have 5 or 10 minutes of complete silence where whatever version of the indivisible emptiness and luminosity exists for you in the realm of the enlightened. Because at that very moment when the circle finish, you will be facing the throne room of God. You will be facing, you will enter into stillness and luminosity. Okay? Let's take 5-minute break.
Okay.
5 minutes.
Pierre, Pierre, Pierre.
Yes.
I'm on YouTube and I'm trying to find it is the Tibetan Book of the Dead. I'm trying to find the audio again because I want to listen to it again.
It
says the Tibetan.
You have to type in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and it's the one audio book by narrated by Richard Gere.
Richard Gere. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. I become aware of my monad and mighty I am presence. I ask for a complete and total merger with my 12 Christ state over self bodies and the 144 Christ state aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. Please share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I become aware of my Christ state over self bodies that exist at 12 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. Please share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control, And I completely surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I am the golden and immortal rod of Melchizedek. I become aware of my Christed over self body that exists at 1 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. Please share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I completely surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I am the golden and immortal rod of Melchizedek. I become aware of my Christed over self body that exists at 2 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. Please share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I completely surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I am the golden and immortal rod of Melchizedek. I become aware of my Christ over self body that exists at 3 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. Please share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I completely surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I am the golden and immortal rod of Melchizedek. I become aware of my Christed with a self body that exists at 4 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. Please share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I am the golden immortal rod of Melchizedek. I become aware of my Christed over self body that exists at 5 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. Please share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I am the golden and immortal rod of Melchizedek. I become aware of my Christed over self body that exists at 6 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. Please share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I completely surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I am the golden and immortal rod of Melchizedek. I become aware of my Christed with a self body that exists at 7 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. Please share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control, and I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I am the golden and immortal rod of Melchizedek. I become aware of my Christed over self body that exists at 7 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. Please share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control, and I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I am the golden and immortal rod of Melchizedek. I release all attachment, fears, and control, and I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. Rather, I become aware of my Christed over self body that exists at 8 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. Please share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control, and I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I am the golden and immortal rod of Melchizedek. I become aware of my Christed over self body that exists at 9 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. Please share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control, and I completely surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I am the golden and immortal rod of Melchizedek. I become aware of my Christed over self body that exists at 10 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. I release all attachments, fears, and control, and I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I am the golden and immortal rod of Melchizedek. I become aware of my Christed over self body that exists at 11 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. Please share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control, and I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I am the golden and immortal rod of Melchizedek. I become aware of my monad and mighty I am presence. I ask for a complete and total merger with my 12 Christed over self bodies and the 144 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. The golden and immortal rod of Melchizedek and the celestial axis are one in me. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you are ready, you can open your eyes.
Pierre,
Yes,
would you be able to send us the recording?
yes,
Thank you so much.
not a problem. How you all feeling?
Such a wonderful blessing. Thank you, Pierre.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Sorry. All right, everyone.
We all gonna receive that, right, Pierre?
Yes, I'll send it to everybody in
Thank
class.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Enjoy the light, enjoy the bliss. I know you're all
It's an
unpacking.
explosion of light.
Yes, you're unpacking all of this. So I'm going to end this very quietly. You have a blessed evening, and I'll talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Good night, all.